What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Today I'm going to be starting a brand new series. It's going to be a little bit different because you, yes you, get to decide what the videos are about. Over the last week or so, I have been including comments that you guys make into some of my videos. And I thought that was really neat, and I kind of wanted to expand on it. That's why I'm making this series. So how it's going to work is I make a video in the series. This will be the first one. You guys comment down below with any Overwatch questions or Overwatch topics that you'd like to see me discuss. Now, how many I include in the next video is going to be dependent on how long it takes to talk about those certain things, because some of them will be real quick, and others will take a little bit longer to explain. And lastly, I'm also going to start including a comment of the day on all of my videos. So that's going to be towards the end, so make sure you check it out to see if it's you. Alright, so let's get into it. Because this is the first video and you guys didn't know about it, I had to have a special comment. So the question is going to be, can you talk about the meta and why it matters? That's kind of a big topic. Let's begin with the first part. What is the meta? In regard to esports, the meta is whatever is considered to be the most powerful strategy or tactic or hero combination at the time. For Overwatch specifically, this has to do entirely with the way that the characters are balanced. A good example of this was with Mercy. When Mercy was changed so that Res was no longer her ultimate and instead it was changed to a regular ability, it made the character unbelievably powerful, and to such a degree that it was almost mandatory to have Mercy in almost every single match. Particularly at the pro level, you can see Mercy had somewhere around a 96 to a 98% pick rate in the Overwatch League. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So the meta is defined by whatever gives you the best opportunity to win. And for a very long time in Overwatch, this has been kind of like a dive comp. But it wasn't always like that. Before that, it was, the tank meta, and then before that, you had like the Beyblade and all that sort of stuff. So it has to do with how Blizzard will balance the game. Whenever they make certain characters stronger or weaker, it has the chance to kind of shift what the meta is going to be. So the next part is, why does the meta matter? Or I guess, does it even matter? Because some people put way too much emphasis on what the meta is, and other people go the exact opposite and they just completely dismiss it. I think both of those are pretty wrong for the majority of players. So let's start at the top. For the pro level, we're talking Overwatch League, the meta is incredibly important. It is literally their job to play Overwatch and to win those matches. And the more that they win, the more they can get paid, the more prizes that they win at the end of the tournament. So it is extremely important for those players to use the characters and the strategies and the tactics that are considered to be the best, because they need to win as often as possible. Now, as you kind of move down a little bit and we go into the competitive ladder, it kind of varies. So at the upper bracket, we're talking like top 500, Grandmaster, Master. The meta is important, but it's not the end-all be-all. Those players at the upper bracket are still able to use characters to near their maximum effectiveness, and therefore it makes a lot of sense for them to use the best possible characters in order to actually win their matches. But there's other things you have to take into account, like certain players are not going to want to play things that are in the meta. Maybe they just don't like the characters, or maybe they're not particularly good at the characters that are currently in the meta, right? Like, let's say you have a tank-heavy comp, and people aren't necessarily that good at playing those tanks, then they're going to play the other DPS because that's what they can do. Another thing is how organized or how coordinated is the team. At the pro level, there is an incredible amount of team coordination, but when you're queued into a competitive match on the ladder with just random people, half of them might not even be in voice chat. So a lot of the things that are required to actually run those effective strategies might not be there. For example, with Dive, it requires a lot of team coordination because everybody needs to kind of attack the same target. And if you're not doing that, if you're not working like that well-oiled machine, then the meta doesn't work as effectively as it should. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people on my team say, oh, well, looks like we're going a full dive. Like, you're picking the characters, like you're using the D.Va, the Winston, the Genji, the Tracer. Like, you're picking the characters in the meta, but then when they're actually playing, there's no coordination. So just because you're using the characters doesn't mean you're actually doing the things that you're supposed to in the meta, in which case you might be better off just playing other stuff. Now, as you move further down the competitive ladder, we're talking platinum, gold, and below, the meta becomes less and less important. The characters themselves are still going to be more powerful, basically, right? But the players might not be able to use them as effectively as they need to in order to kind of run the meta, whatever it happens to be. A really good example of this, and I keep going back to this because it's just a great example, is the dive meta. It requires a incredibly high amount of skill and coordination in order to pull it off effectively. And when you throw 6 players in silver and gold and you just put them on a team and a bunch of them aren't even in voice chat, then the chances of you running the meta, running the dive effectively are pretty low. So again, in that case, you'd be better off just playing whatever you're good at. So the takeaway, and this is really important to understand, and some people for whatever reason just refuse to accept it, is that certain characters are objectively stronger than the others at certain points in time. And again, this has to do with how Blizzard balances the game. So you have to be aware of that, and you need to be able to take advantage of those situations when you can. But a lot of those times with the meta, with certain things like dive or multi-tank or Beyblade or whatever, there is a certain level of coordination that's required, and the higher up in the brackets you go, the more likely you're going to have that kind of effective coordination. The lower in the brackets you go, the less it's really needed. So does it matter? Yes, absolutely. You should always be aware of what the strongest thing is in the game and try to take advantage of it as often as possible in order to win more matches. But at the same time, don't rely on it every single match, because you're going to be queued into random players who might not be good at those certain characters or may not be coordinating or communicating as much as they should, in which case you might be better off just kind of letting people play whatever they're good at, and that will give you the best opportunity to win. So just be aware of all that. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. The links for that stuff are down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.